All right, welcome back. This is following live. This is going to be our last one for the year. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, happy whatever you're celebrating. It's been an interesting year. Okay, so last time we were following a 240-minute S&P E-Mini and an Aussie 240-minute. This time I think we will follow a CAD 240 and maybe beans. But let's look. Let's see what we can learn. And again, I want to stress in these posts, I'm always trying to encourage how to learn from price, not just memorize something and see where the trade is and or this or that. I want to encourage how to learn from price by being able to structure a market with various things. And we're using a very simple structure: swings. Major swing, largest reaction leg; minor swing, next largest. Just by being able to orient ourselves like this, we can learn various ways we can trade a market without anybody, me or anybody, telling you, oh, this is the setup, this is the this is the that. Just by being able to frame this and look, and then start to see things seep in over and over and over. Right? It's slow. It starts to seep in. You start to see the same patterns. We know that this is a reaction. We know this is an impulse. And maybe you see this quite often, that it changes like this, right? It comes and it turns. It breaks this trend, breaks that line coming down, says I'm not going to go that way anymore. And then it turns, and sometimes there's trades along here for this impulse leg. There's lots of trades to be had just by being able to frame a market simply. And a lot of it is just looking, and sometimes you'll see some that are really obvious to you that aren't obvious to me or anybody else. Everybody has their own experience. So that's what we're doing here, not just memorizing a setup. All right, we want to learn. So as we see price, let's just model it out. And the modeling helps to get it in our bones. So we're following any legs in this reaction leg, and then we're following any legs in this major impulse leg. And the same thing on the way down. We're going to follow any legs in the major reaction leg. So let's see what price does. Price comes down, and swing is a swing is a swing. So now we're going to follow the legs on down. A new low confirms a high. And you're going to, same thing, we can just get in touch with this following principle. Every time it pivots, no, it doesn't make it that high, it's got some strength. Then you keep bringing this down, right? And we see price does this. Now, right here, just by looking and seeing this kind of thing over and over, there's something we can learn from this. So, for instance, you've seen a blog where I talk about right side entries. So if we modeled this, it comes down, makes a lower high, makes a lower low, confirms a new swing, and then finishes out making the major. So just by looking at this, you should start to see some possibility in, and I'll do trades like this, not all the time, but it's an available trade, and it looks like this, using the same swings. So this is what I mean by drawing swings and then learning from them by looking yourself, and then you own it. So I'm pointing this to you, but you'll see this. So sometimes I'll do a trade in here to take a trip down to the major leg, and this is what the median line is describing, to take a trip down to the major leg. Right? So that's what this chart's offering. That's what we've learned from this particular chart. That's our piece of learning. So we beat this swing, and next thing we want to know, does it make a new low? And don't forget, we're going to keep following it, so this way we're not fighting it or arguing with it. It makes about the same size swing. It's going down until it's not going down. And then you keep following it, and you can see, swoop, we change just like that. Now perhaps we're going to make a larger swing, perhaps a lower high, but the same thing. Now we have a last swing broke, and we'll follow that the other way. And this is also something I will do when trading. I'll look for a last swing broke here to give me a little change in direction. For the next swing. But either way, let's follow it and learn. So we follow any pullbacks, and this is a 1-bar pullback. Again, I'm not trading during this. This is the elections, but we're still trying to learn from here. Trade easy when it's easy. Stay out of it. So let's keep following. We made a new high. Boom, boom. Now I want you to, it beats this swing and carves out something bigger, huh? Now I want you to be able to take this market from here. Let's erase everything. It switched. So obviously it made a new leg, just out of curiosity's sake. I want to see where that comes from, right around there. And now we're going to follow whatever the next largest swing is. And again, don't just memorize these techniques. You draw a line like this and just take a look, and I want you to see that this is the structure. See, it's toying, it's crawling up, up, up within this structure, and it's trying to break it out. It's trying to break it out. It's trying to break. And then it pulls back. So this is our swing. This is our swing. And so you just follow it every time it pulls back. And then we'll follow this one as well. And that's current. And be curious. We can go like this and say, all right, where does this land us? Just work it backwards and right around the whole swap there, huh? Alright, so that's the ES. Looks like it lands in its pressure cooker there. And now let's move on to the Aussie. Let's see where we left it off. Alright, there should be some good things to learn from this Aussie. So we left it off right around here, and we decided to follow this structure. And again, a simple framework will enable us to learn a lot about how to trade price. And if we were following gaps, we'd mark this out in here. And this swing was going up. Alright. Alright, so what we're doing is following this leg in the reaction. This is our major, and let's see what it did. Let's see what we can learn from this. It's heading down, and so we turn a little bit in front. And this is another thing about trading, and when you're doing these lines, don't expect perfection. Okay? Don't expect perfection. These are reference points. Don't expect perfection in these things. And don't expect perfection in your trading. It'll really help you out. It turns a little bit before it and goes down. And it beats that swing. Now I think we can learn the same thing we can learn from that ES. It's got the same kind of model, meaning this time it's going down. And as it comes up, it turns and starts to do a right-sided set of legs. See, as it goes up, it turns and starts to do a right-sided set of legs. And again, this is an entry, right-sided entry, which I did a blog on, that I will often consider trading. And since I'm trading a swing, I'm going to go swing to swing. And so this kind of trade is going to look something like this when I do it. And I can get out, or I can follow it down and trail stops. Okay, so this is learning, and we've just seen this twice now. And the other part of learning is, take this apart piece by piece. See what kind of price action goes into making that pivot. What kind of price action goes into making that pivot? You want to see what kind of price action is going on. Look at the way it pops it. It's a wash and rinse, right? And over time, you'll start to see these things over and over. It'll slowly sink in, and you'll eventually find yourself knowing them. But it does take some time. And I wrote a little piece in the newsletter about being coordinated. And one of the ways you can do that is to practice things one at a time for a while. You can practice, say, a pressure cooker structure and only practice it, or you can practice just washes exclusively and add things piece by piece. I know as traders we want to jump right ahead and do the whole thing, but it's overwhelming by the time we do analysis of a market, learn all the structures, figure out an entry, figure out a stop, figure out a target, manage the trade. That's a lot of moving pieces to a whole trade, and we don't just come born ready to do them all easily. And so we do need to take our time and do things one at a time, learning them. So I just wanted to mention that. But this is what we can learn just from this model here. Okay, so now as price comes down, we're following this swing, but notice what the LSB is going to be. Right, this is the last swing broke. See, it comes up. Price comes up, makes a swing, breaks. That becomes the last swing broke. So this is going to be one of the things we want to measure. And all you do is just keep following price down, and also be curious. So like, for instance, right here, as I'm looking at this and price is heading down, I might consider to do an order right where they snapped, and just place orders in right here where they snapped. And if price does something new, I'll adjust myself. But this is a lot of the ways how I'm planning on trading to capture another swing down. But let's follow. We're following. We come to about that size and make a new low, and we follow it down again. We start to break this swing, and notice when we start to break this swing, what do? We follow. So just see what you could have learned from this little piece alone as a trader. Here, we start with this, comes down, we follow, it hits perfectly, they sell it. What is what is. They sell it. They make new lows. Boom. Comes back. They beat it. turn that around. They swing back to it. So as a trader, we need to learn to change with change. They swing right back to it as at a gap. So this would be a trade I will often try to capture, as long as I'm not stuck on the short or the long. Market is telling me, look, the market's telling me, look, we're not doing that anymore. Okay, so now let's follow. We'll have this, and we'll have this. And basically every time price pivots, you follow. It's got a little bit more juice. It's got too much juice. It's got too much, and it's coming down. But you still follow because those are your swings. And there are times where I'll just keep following and placing orders down here if I have a stop. And that's current. So you can see what we've learned from this is after this thing switched and swapped, it went into tiny little pullbacks, but as you followed it, it eventually fell back to that, and we'll see end of the year. Now for the CAD, we'll do the 240 CAD, and here's where we are. So the CAD is very interesting. Okay, we're like this. Take a look at the market, map what is your major swing. This is going to be our frame, okay? Just like that. That's the major swing. We go like this. And we notice it turned right on it. And while you're here, also notice the horizontal it turns on. See where it presses right off the low? Okay, so in this case, we are just like this. And we don't really have any swings this way, so this is it. So this is going to be an interesting case. So watch what happens if I say draw a modified shift on this, along with a regular median line set. So it's showing me a bit of an X marks the spot here. Now, if I was talking types of trades via this upper line, I would say something like this is a push trade, to push it on through, and anywhere along here would be a try trade, meaning you're playing for a reversal. That's what the try trade is. You can look at other blogs. You're playing for price to not make a new low, and it's trying, boom. Right? And this would be a type 2, and this would be a type 3. Expand, continue. But meanwhile, it's pushing. And this is where a median line can show those types of trades as well. So if we go A, B, C, you see we have the standard median line along with X marks the spot. And it's not an exact X, but it's close, right? All right. So what we're going to be very curious about and follow this thing. Does this have the juice to make a new low, or will it decide to quit making lows and turn? And by the way, if I do want to trade for a turn, you can trade for anything you want. Just don't ignore that price is going down. If I do want to trade for a turn, it's going to be down here in this edge down here, okay? Somewhere down in this edge, not up here, somewhere down in this edge, I'm going to play for a turn. So I'm really curious about how price interacts with this area if it gets there. But we will follow price, and don't forget we can follow it this way too, and consider right-sided entries. And don't worry if you use the low with this line. If you use it like this, you know, you can put a sliding parallel, or you can put it at the low. Here, we'll just use the low to make life easy. Alright, so there's our CAD map. Now let's look at good old beans. So the commodities have really woken up this year. So beans is simple. Major swing. And maybe this is going to be our minor swing. And we'll follow the minor. It looks like it can't even do a minor. The minor is going to put us down in this little coil, and the major, I'm noticing, is putting us right around here, where we did some kind of weird swap. Okay, so let's follow that. And there's something to learn from a chart like this as well when we look at it. You know, as price pulls back and begins to turn sideways, there's this turn, and you want to look at that area where it says, no, I ain't doing it. And you can see it. This bar says, no, forget about it. I ain't turning. And from this bar, it comes up, makes a little swing. Little swing, like so. It says no. So a lot of times, when I'm trading something like this, and I get this, finally, this zoom that cracks that turn, I will try to get in right here. Right, as we come down, go like this, we're turning, crack, boom, right? And you can see how obvious it is. So notice the price action giving us clues, right? The zoom, the gap, outside bar that can't make new lows. So I'll do a trade, and it doesn't come back in this case, but you know, I'm trying to throw a little bit of learning as we go across here. All right, so that's it. You guys have a happy new year, and see you next year.